Do 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 do. All right, and it looks like most everybody's getting the memo because almost everybody watching right now already is on Rumble. That's moving in the right direction. But guys, I've got not so great news tonight. I didn't cancel the show because I know you guys were expecting a show tonight, and so I'm going to hang out with you for a little bit. Probably not going to do more than about a half an hour, and we're going to go ahead and stay live everywhere tonight. I'm going to be watching the numbers. I'm going to be watching across the several platforms, and if we start getting a bunch of people over on the freeloader channels like X and YouTube, etc., right? I see 4 of you over on X right now, so yeah, just stop that shit. Get over here to Rumble. Rumble's over here, okay? So get over to Rumble, and if you don't already have a free account, go ahead and sign up for a free Rumble account, right? You can do that. You can pop over to Rumble right here. You can pop over to Rumble. You can see my pretty face live on Rumble. You got the chat over here. Y'all can come in. You can hit that thumbs up button. Give us a like, just like that. And then come down here. If you don't already have your free account, hit that right there, that link right there that says rumble.com/register/brushfiremind. I'm going to be watching in the chat over here. And as we start to get a few more people in the chat, I will start giving away some free memberships tonight. But I'm watching for a certain level of viewership before I hit those numbers. So Rod, that's you, brother. Get over here to Rumble. If you don't already have a free Rumble account, you can go to Rumble, or if you're watching on one of the freeloader platforms, I'll go ahead and drop there you go. There's the link on Locals and on Rumble, and you should be seeing it coming up in the chat from the Brushfire Mind. You can hop over there and get you some of that. So y'all get over there, and we'll be watching for you. Let me just drop that over there. Doobie doobie doo. That's the one. And you can get signed up for that free account, and I'll be giving away some freebies in just a few minutes here. In fact, I'll go ahead and throw one at you because we want to make sure I don't get nobody's hopes up unnecessarily, right? So, there, let's see who gets it. So, somebody's about to get a free membership. So, what happened was, and here's why we're not doing the regular special tonight. We were, because it's top of mind for everybody. It is the topic du jour. We were going to talk about the Epstein files tonight. We've got a very extensive deep dive into the various conspiracies swirling around the Epstein client list. And, well, Mario's not with us. I had a backup topic just in case we couldn't get that deep dive completed and ready tonight, ready to go. But it's the evils of feminism, one that I've been wanting to do. And that's one that I want Mario on for too. Problem is, yeah, Mario just got his ass absolutely slapped by a big old thunderstorm and lost power and internet. So we are fully into the realm of live is hard mode and not going to be able to bring that to you. That said, however, here's what we're going to talk about. We're still on topic, right? We're still going to talk a bit about the Epstein stuff, but instead of digging into the conspiracy theories around Epstein and Mossad and who's on the list and who's not, why the list disappear, there has been an interesting development in this space the last couple of days, right? And that is, I'm supposed to be sharing this. Conservatives explode over. Nope. Got that one too early. Wanted to start with this one. White House rips reports that Patel and Bongino may quit if Bondi stays AG. So the White House slammed. This is from Newsmax. The White House slammed baseless reports Friday that FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino are weighing resignation if Attorney General Pam Bondi keeps her job as the fallout grows. I didn't bother pulling the clips because I'm sure you guys have all seen them. I don't want to waste a lot of time on them. But I'm assuming that most of you have seen some of the cuts, some of the clips with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, basically going and saying, "Oh yeah, we've seen the files, and Epstein totally killed himself." They look like hostage videos, right? You could all but smell the gunpowder of the threat standing off stage. Now, Nick Freitas did a video just recently. I'm a big fan of Nick Freitas. I like his stuff. But he did a video where he commented on this, and he said, "I don't know what's going on. It doesn't smell right, but I don't think that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel are the kind of guys who are easily intimidated." And I let the comment there. Look, Nick, they don't have to be easily intimidated. I mean, quite simply, we're talking about powers that be that have the power and potential to threaten very hard, right? Let's just for example, right after 2020, all of a sudden, Governor Brian Kemp became very bought in to the idea that the election, which in his capital city of Atlanta was thwarted by an absolute hoax, a totally faked plumbing emergency, where they said the water main broke and it's flooding the polls, so we had to stop counting early and send everyone home. And it turned out, oh, no, that absolutely did not happen at all in any way whatsoever. The closest thing there was apparently there was a toilet that was overrunning several hours earlier that a work order was put in for, and it had been repaired long before they used there was a busted pipe that ran everybody out. So all of a sudden, Governor Kemp became very, very bought into the idea that it was the most safe and secure election of all time. Interestingly, around the same time, and I'm sure it's completely unrelated, Governor Kemp's soon-to-be son-in-law died in a mysterious car accident. We covered this when it happened. I showed the video. I showed you guys the video. There was video of the car accident happening. Now, when I say accident, and I went into great detail as subject matter expert on the topic, right? For a lot of stuff, I'm just a guy that complains on the internet. But when we start talking about vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices, I am a subject matter expert on the topic. I've been hit with a few of them. They suck. They're very effective. In fact, the evidence would suggest that they're very effective at changing the mind of one Georgia governor. So the idea that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are guys that could not be easily intimidated. Well, they don't have to be easily intimidated. They have families. I imagine they love their families. I can promise you this. If you threaten my family, I will do a very, very quick assessment in my head, and I will ask myself the question, is this a threat that I cannot forestall right now? Right? oh, you've taken them away and put them in a secure location that I have no access to and I'm not even aware of the location of. There's nothing I can do. You have the absolute capability to eliminate my family right now. Yeah, you got me. Let's go. What do you want to know? What do you want me to do? We're going to get that done. Quite on the other side of that, if there's anything I can do, all other lives are forfeit. Everybody dies. The family comes first. So, yeah, they were simply easily simply intimidated. I don't buy it. Just because they are not guys who can be easily intimidated doesn't mean they cannot be intimidated or bought or blackmailed, right? I mean, there are options. But the news is that essentially Kash and Dan have both said, quite separately apparently, that they're considering leaving their positions at the FBI if AG Pam Bondi retains her position. And I got to tell you guys, honestly, even if Kash and Dan, who I think are stand-up guys, I do. I think they are both stand-up guys, and they've walked into the FBI headquarters where basically Hoover's head in a tank is the new Lord Cthulhu who's got his tentacles in everybody's neck. It just, there's something that happens. There's something that happens when you get to high office. You know, I don't know if it's the devil or Cthulhu or Mother Russia or the Chinese Communist Party. Something happens when people get into high office and they get changed. You know, Bilderberg, the Klingons, whatever. Who knows? Right? There are plenty of theories out there. Obviously, you know, tongue in cheek, I've mentioned a few that are obviously less credible than others, but there are indeed some legitimate conspiracies and some legitimately powerful groups with significantly nefarious interests that are having a deleterious effect over our country through illicit control of our government. I think that's incredibly plain to see. Right? Now, on the question of Pam Bondi, right? Like I said, I think Kash and Dan are stand-up guys, and if we're going to send somebody into the den where they're automatically corrupted, I will not say that Kash and Dan are beyond corruptibility, but I do suspect that they are both as incorruptible as one could hope for a person to be going into that position. Pam Bondi, quite the contrary, I'm not a fan. Okay, the best thing I can say for Pam Bondi is she looks pretty damn good for a senior citizen. Right? You know, I did get a chuckle out of the hearings, out of the confirmation hearings, when what was Amy Klobuchar is in there questioning Pam Bondi, and Pam Bondi is this good-looking blonde, you know, put together, nice red dress, looking clean, looking tight, and then, of course, Amy Klobuchar, who's like 10 years younger, just looks like a trash bag full of assholes. With, you know, she looks like she got her hair cut with a Flowbee and her makeup done by a clown, and not a clown applying makeup. Nah, just straight in the pie tin. Eat it, bitch. So I did get a chuckle out of watching that, but Pam Bondi, Red Flag Barbie, was never a good choice. She just wasn't. Never a good choice. Sergeant Major makes a good point. He says the majority of FBI are like all bureaucrats. They are Democrats. This is largely because actually within the government agencies, government employees have various unions. Unions are by their nature corrupt. The idea of the union, collective bargaining. Hey, we're all workers here, and we're not going to work for you anymore unless you pay us more. Okay, that was cute when it started that way, but that is not what a union is today. A union today is a very small group of people who have their fingers corruptly into an organization where they get to say, hey, if you want to work here, you have to join our little group and pay us to argue on your behalf, to negotiate wages on your behalf. Now, hold on a minute. That means that I make the same as everybody else makes. That means that I don't get to negotiate competitively on my own behalf. And I'm just stuck with whatever some incompetent shitburger argues for me. And it means that the inflationary rate of my wages is tied to the inflation of all other wages. That's not good for me, right? The unions are like all other forms of government welfare. They're good for people who don't deserve it. They're bad for people who earn what they have. Anecdotally, many years ago, I was an industrial electrician. I worked open shop. My buddy Steve and I worked all over Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, Georgia, flipping and up and down the Savannah River. Did everything from churches and remodeling houses to building doctors' offices and hospitals and shit. We did paper mills, oil refineries, even shut down the Owens Corning on the Savannah River when they got in trouble for their roofing shingles, which was fun. Seaver, I'm sorry, David, mentions DOJ just dropped charges against a Utah doctor who injected children with saline instead of the COVID jab and issued fraudulent vax cards. Yeah, there's some other stuff developing, Cyber, that I'm not sure if I'm going to get to the Fovax doc jab on Monday or not, because there's some other stuff going on. But like I was saying, so Steve and I worked open shop up and down the Savannah River. And I see my buddy Patrick's watching. I know he started off with an electrician's union. Right, Pat? Correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, but you worked IBEW. That's where you did your training originally, I think. Anyway, I did not. I didn't go union. And then, some 3-4 years into doing this work, I was doing pretty good. I was making good wages. I had a company truck, gas card. I was doing a foreman's job, doing work, contract work, and Steve and I built all kind of. Steve and I, we built the church. We built the Eyeglass World on the corner of Abercorn and White's Road, I think. White's Road, White's Chapel, something. Eyeglass World. Steve and I built the drive-through title pawn on Abercorn. That was a fun one. But we weren't in the union. And union rep came and talked to me one day at one of the plants. Say, hey, man, you ought to think about jumping over. Great pay, good benefits, et cetera, et cetera. We take care of you. Paid time, and I asked him about the pay and everything, and he told me, well, you be an apprentice, starting out, so you'd make this much, and then okay, how much am I paying for my health insurance and my dues and all that? And at the time, it turned out that basically I was going to go from making around $20 an hour to making like $8 an hour, and then paying dues out of that. I said, yeah. I know that was a bit of a tangent, but the point being, unions are great for the little guy who's just getting started out. The longer you're in one, the less value it has for you. The longer you're in a union, the more it is retarding your development, and that's without even getting into the gross corruption at the top of one, right? Okay, and that's a large part of how of why the majority of bureaucrats are Democrats. It's pure. It's what they do. It's corruption. It's money laundering. The whole Democrat machine is built on corruption and money laundering. It is their business. Just like the 2020 elections, I've explained this several times before. You look at Ukraine, you look at the Biden relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. That's all money laundering activity. This is not theory crafting. This is not. Sergeant Major says my description of union labor pay is not correct. It is. That was the offer that I was made by the union. Unions keep wages up. Yes, unions do You're correct, Sergeant Major. The unions have done a lot to keep inflation rising. You're absolutely correct. They have been a major driver of inflation. Oh, I'm sorry, keeping wages up, which is the same thing. Broke my train of thought. Lost my spot. Money laundering. So you see what's going on in Ukraine, the Chinese relationship with the Bidens, those money laundering operations. Money laundering operations is the Democrat stock and trade, right? That's a lot of what unions are used for, sweetheart deals. We get you your kickback, etc. And when you look at the 2020 election, you see the tactics of money launderers played out repeatedly in the way that the individual election pieces were stolen. So the best way to say it is that the 2020 election, like the national presidential election, was not itself stolen. What was stolen were hundreds of individual county elections. And then when they went into the courtroom, right, when you're laundering money, you wash no more than $9,000 at a time. Because as soon as you cross into that $10,000 threshold, the feds are coming to talk to you. Right? Case in point, buy a house. Buy a house, right? I don't care if you're paying cash up front, or you're making a down payment, or you're using a VA loan, so all you've got to pay is the closing costs, right? So, for example, this place, I bought it last year. Closing costs were somewhere between 11 and 12 grand, right? I wrote a check for $11,000 something dollars, and what did I have to do, right? The feds didn't come and aggravate me on that. Instead, I had to sit down with the banker, write the check, and in order for them to move the money and let the lawyer cash the check, I had to fill out a raft of forms, making explicit declarations that I understood that the law would punish me severely if it was discovered that this money was being laundered, or if it was being used to buy art illicitly, or if it was ever to find its way into funding terrorism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. But if you only steal all the votes in a county, then when you get to court, the judge says, oh, well, okay, yeah, there was some shenanigans here. They definitely broke the law. They stole a bunch of votes. This county was definitely an illegitimate election. This shouldn't count. But it wasn't enough by itself to change the outcome of the election. Aha. It wasn't enough by itself to change the outcome of the election. That's why that common refrain that you heard over and over again, it wasn't their, they started with the line, this was the most secure election of all time, there was no fraud. And then they started saying, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud that changed the... Come with the weasel words. So, yeah, I've gone way off on a tangent, obviously, but all of that tangent was from the conversation about, we saw what happened to Governor Kemp, how his would-be son-in-law was quite obviously assassinated at a politically convenient time for, I don't know, Joe Biden to steal an election, and then Kemp to end up being essentially an opponent of Donald Trump through all of the mechanisms to try and fight that. Cyber says, "Oh shit, wrong psyop." Yeah. So let's get back to the actual story. And guys, I am going to wrap in just a minute. I see a dozen or so people watching over on on Twitter. I see a handful still watching on YouTube. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter right now, hang that shit up. Get your ass over to Rumble. I'll go ahead and post the link again. Click the link right there. Sign up for a free Rumble account. And if you are currently watching on Rumble and have not yet made a comment in the live chat, not in the comment section. I want you to leave comments down below, ask questions in the comment section if you like. But for right now, what you need to do, you need to hit that chat bar. Leave a comment in the live chat. I'm going to give it about 5 more minutes. Give a few more of you guys, because I'm not seeing as many unique names in the chat as I'm seeing current active viewers. So if you haven't said anything in the chat, go ahead and say something in the chat. You cannot win a free 1-month membership unless you're watching while we're live and you're in the live chat. So say something. Get you a freebie. Get you one of them free months so you can watch the Epstein deep dive when it comes out. Which, no promises. It's going to depend on how the weather does for Mario. I might try to bully his ass. And Cyber, you can go ahead and start harassing him. Make sure you call him a wop and all that stuff. Ask him about Pirelli tires. Make fun of his greasy taint. Suggest that he should go and shower himself and be a better Caucasian. Whatever. Just get over there and just, Cyber, Seaver, whatever, and Patrick. Get over into the tits, the infamous thread, and start haranguing Mario about doing the show we were going to do tonight tomorrow, assuming his internet's back. Liberty Girl says, "Thanks for allowing me to be here tonight and this month." And hell yeah. It was my pleasure. Love you. Glad to have you. And I appreciate you watching the show as often as you do. Tim says, "I'm at work, cuz it's all I got." Brother, I understand. And hey, Tim, it was great to see you and Rhonda over here the other day, over at His Majesty's Tropical Wonderland. Sergeant Major says, "Seaver, go easy on Pfizer. We're making a fortune off of them." Yeah. Yeah, Cyber. I mean, in all fairness, that's a piece of my eventual inheritance. For those of you who don't know, you see that name James Lowry, and you'll hear me occasionally make reference to His Majesty the Sergeant Major, etc. That is my father, Sergeant Major Lowry, and just the old man's doing doing great. He's in fantastic health. I'm proud as hell of him. He was a fantastic father, still is a fantastic father, but brought me up in a great house, in a great home, in a great family. All the love in the world to him. And to this day, I never leave my house with pants on without wearing a multi-tool. Because as soon as he hits the ground, I'm coming for his teeth. Every time. So, I am just about ready to put a pin in her here. Okay. I'm going to go a little more into Pam Bondi for a minute and why. I think I adequately explained why I think that. Sergeant Major asks, "Do you need money?" I don't. I'm good. I'm earning money right now. You're watching me make money, but for everybody who's watching, if you want to help the channel out, right, y'all can always do this. I'm going to show you. Watch closely. Keep an eyeball over here. See what happens. Come on. It's gonna hit anyway. My point is, you could always pop over to the live chat. Karma Cathedral got it. And if you just turn that off, you click this little button right here, the little gifts. You see that little button light up red? You click that one right there, and it'll let you gift subs. You can gift 1, 5, etc., and you can send subs out. And what that does is it allows you to randomly gift a 1-month premium subscription to one of your fellow viewers. Right? So if you got a buddy that wants it, but he's a broke bitch and can't afford to pay for the Rumble, tell him to watch and just sit there and buy random subscriptions until he gets one. I will appreciate the hell out of it. And make sure that you pray to RN Jesus, the random numbers god, RN Jesus, when you roll them dice. And I hope that the odds are in your favor. So let's talk about Pam Bondi. I was not. Okay, Mario said. Okay, let me see. Yep, not reading those out loud. Maybe behind the paywall. And Mario says he'll do it tomorrow. So we have Mario. We have Mario for tomorrow. Assuming his power's back on, we will bring you the new Epstein deep dive tomorrow. So keep an eyeball out on the platforms for this one. There it is. Keep an eyeball on the platforms for this one. That'll be the live deep dive tomorrow. So, anyway, Pam Bondi. Every time I hear Pam Bondi speak, I just hear Miss South Carolina talking about U.S. Americans. I played this video clip for you guys the other day, but for real, this is what I hear every time Pam Bondi opens her mouth.
Okay. Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should.
And everywhere, like such as, I mean, it's painful. And I almost feel guilty every time I share that because, like, I shared it, I used it the other day. I played it the other day making the same point. And, you know, like I said then, she was caught off guard, nervous. I get it. You know, not everybody performs well under pressure. But Pam Bondi sounds like that every time she opens her damn mouth. Every single time. Every time she opens her mouth, she sounds like this.
Yeah, sure. If I
Pam,
could,
could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey
Okay,
Epstein?
we're gonna skip over that.
Like a desk.
I want to hear what she
by
says.
that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but
And the video she's talking about, they told us that it was unedited. It was not unedited. It was definitely edited. There have now been some reports that show the Premiere Pro timestamps and metadata logging records that show that it was in fact edited, and even the edited tape that they gave us that's supposed to be like 11 continuous hours. They said it's 11 continuous hours. It's not at the 11:59 point. There's a 1 minute skip. They told us that's because the cameras have to reset every 24 hours. You know, and I could even buy that, except they also told us we've got 11 continuous hours and nobody goes on and off the floor. That's incorrect. Also, 2 people go on and off the floor. So even that is very suspicious. But I want to take you back too. This is who Pam Bondi is, right? Before she was selected for this office, appointed. Where does Pam Bondi stand on gun control? Donald Trump's second choice for Attorney General is likely to find a warmer reception in the Senate than Matt Gaetz did, but she could face some hostility from Second Amendment organizations over some of her previous positions on guns and gun control. Some hostility? She served as Florida's Attorney General for 8 years and was in office when the legislature crafted its response to the 2018 shootings at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. Let's be absolutely clear. The shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, right? That's the Parkland shooting. That's the one that David Hogg raced back to get himself on camera. And hey, you know, fair play. That boy has made himself a millionaire by playing professional victim, right? So, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game. Well, I can hate the game, definitely, and I can hate the player and still respect his game, because, I mean, I was in a school shooting and I didn't get rich off of it. I instead taxied my sister and friends away from the school shooting in my little red Beretta and got people the fuck away from the gunfire. Anyway, that shooting was as bad as it was, not because guns are poorly controlled. That shooting went as badly as it went because the law enforcement, the available law enforcement, were absolute cowards. Specifically, the on-duty resource officer, I forget his name, it's been a while since we covered this, but the on-duty resource officer, whose job it was to secure the location and respond specifically to active shooters, decided, nah. Now, it wasn't quite the same terrible shit show that Uvalde was. That one, I'm amazed and disappointed that no police officers died in the Uvalde fuck around, because y'all, please believe my kids are in a school with an active shooter, and you're telling me I can't go. Yeah, no, not these are not options. She was all on board for raising the purchase age of firearms from 18 to 21. And that's for long rifles, right? It was already 21 for handguns, and it should not be. We need, as far as that goes, listen, there's an age at which you are legally an adult. That age does not need to be graduated, right? Pick one. You join the Army at 17? Great. You're a full citizen. You can do everything. You are now free to make your own mistakes. Let's go. But she was on board for the red flag laws. She was on board for raising purchase ages. And I'm sure she's a clever, intelligent person. But Alex says the guy's name was Scott Peterson, and he knows a few Broward County deputies that were very pissed off about that guy. Yeah, I should hope so. In fact, I would almost go so far as to, I would go so far as to say the fact that that guy is still sucking wind is itself an indictment of the quality of the men in that law enforcement unit. Right? They don't take the honor and dignity of their office seriously because they tolerate the continued existence of someone like that. So Bondi was a bad pick, and I think Bondi was a knee-jerk pick. I was actually talking to Angry Conservative on the phone earlier, and I gave him some pushback when he was talking about Matt Gaetz being a sacrificial lamb, right? So take you back. Matt Gaetz was the pick for AG. I thought he was a good pick for AG. I would have liked to have seen Matt Gaetz for AG. And then there was all the, he got hit with scandal after scandal after scandal. And, I have a very hard time believing when a Republican is accused by Democrats of any kind of scandal, because they will literally just lie, right? I mean, just completely straight up, they'll just lie. We saw it with Trump and the rape allegations in New York. We saw it with Herman Cain and the sexual harassment allegations from Godfather's Pizza employees. We saw it with Clinton, right? It's kind of the other way around. The Democrats will come out and just shamelessly lie to defend their own. They're completely shameless. So, but at the time, we saw Matt Gaetz basically go down in flames as the preferred nominee. And then Trump kind of snapped Pam Bondi out of nowhere. Now, she's a good-looking, tall, leggy blonde with big tits. Okay, the Donald has a type. I get it. Your attorney general looks like Jesus. Boo. So I might be having to give it up because we got some thunderstrike coming. I was not expecting rain tonight. Did they change it? Oh, okay. Chance of light rain inside the next hour. I think I'll be okay. No, there is no insulation in the shed right now. That is a project that is on the list for later. But anywho, yep, that broke my train of thought. I think, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Here's my basic. I I like Dan and Kash. I'm disappointed in them. I expected more from them. And if we have to choose between keeping Dan and Kash or keeping Pam Bondi, then quite simply, Red Flag Barbie's got to go. That not even a contest, not even a question. Red Flag Barbie's got to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a pin in it right there. Damn, can y'all hear that thunder over the microphone? Because it's shaking the trees. I may have to go work on my tractor tomorrow. Assuming it doesn't get hit by a damn tree. Man. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We love you. Here, I'm gonna give away one more free sub. let's hang out for just a minute and see who gets that freebie. Oh well, shit. Alex, enjoy it in good health, brother. We love you, and we will see you apparently tomorrow because Jesus, live is hard mode. Good night, guys.